last 3 years have been like the hardest 3 years of my life. So, but I'll talk about anything, I think there's no, it is what it is, like.
Díomh agus fáilte as, you're all very welcome to another episode of Irish in Toronto. Today we welcome back Ian Kinsella to the podcast. Ian is the first person to appear in the podcast for a second time, and his story definitely justifies this distinction. In 2023, only a few months after Ian appeared on Irish in Toronto, and at the tender age of 41, he suffered a widowmaker heart attack. He outlines how lucky he is to have survived.
I had a widowmaker in my sleep. The chances of being alive while you're having one of these events are 0.1. Like, you don't live.
Listening back to our conversation from 3 years ago, Ian made a number of remarkable comments which may have helped him with his current recovery.
You get better quite quickly, just once you follow structure.
He also spoke about initially coming to the sport of running as a form of escape.
The running came later, off the back of like depression and anxiety. And
following his heart attack in 2023, Ian underwent life-altering surgery. In November 2024, he set a Guinness World Record for the fastest marathon with a coronary artery bypass graft, running the New York City Marathon in 3 hours and 42 seconds. Ian is clearly grateful for running post-surgery, but it was poignant to listen back to our conversation from 3 years ago and hear just how much he appreciated the sport before he ever had any heart issues.
So again, running is like a privilege, and if you go back to that every time, I always do that before, when I'm at a start line of a race, a big race, like I'll just take a minute and I'll be like, this is fucking awesome and I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
And I think running with gratitude, like no matter what the result is.
Ian is upfront and candid in this conversation. His recovery is a winding process and he pulls no punches in going into the details here. Trigger warning, there will be mentions of suicidal ideation and substance abuse. I consider Ian a very good friend and a role model for being honest with oneself. I begin our chat by asking Ian if he had listened back to our conversation from 3 years ago.
Jeez, I think that podcast is a prime example of when things are going really well. When things are going really well, you can guarantee that they'll go bad. And when things are going really bad, you guarantee that it'll get good again. And that podcast, if you listen to it, I've listened to it a few times. It's quite hard for me to listen to it actually, because I'm about to touch greatness in everything I'm talking about. I'm like, we have the business. I'm about to do a 2:30 marathon. Like, I haven't drank in ages. I was talking about having superpowers and stuff, I think, from not drinking. And then, what year was that we did it? 2023, right?
2023 or maybe late. I think this is the beginning of 2023.
Yeah, so, and fast forward then a few months, I am fighting for my life in hospital, So, it's a prime example of just when things are good or normal, that's good, that's okay. And that is something that I learned. I listen, Tommy Ribs, who he is?
Yeah.
He has cancer and he was in the Grand Canyon running, and he was one of the fittest men on the planet. He was in the Grand Canyon, he was overheating, didn't know what was happening, but something was wrong. And he managed to get out of the canyon somehow, and when he got out, he was fucked. He was hyperventilating, his heart was through the roof. It turned out he had a really rare form of cancer. And he was so close to dying. They did all sorts of surgeries on him. He came out of it. He went on Rich Roll's podcast. Just remember he said, listen,
that's where I heard him. I love Rich Roll's podcast.
Yeah, and Tommy Ribs is a very soulful guy. And he's just like, when everything's good, you can guarantee it's going to get bad. When everything's bad, you guarantee it's good. That's what they say, this too shall pass. It's a real thing, for good or better, for better or for worse. Like, if you're having a really good life, that will pass and things are going to go bad. Like, you will lose someone, your health will deteriorate. Like, it's all these things are going to happen. But I think that, like, the last 3 years, like I said to you before we got chatting here, like, the last 3 years for me have been so hard. Like, so hard. And before, like, when I was on that podcast with you, I was just so, I don't know, I just didn't see it all coming. Like, if you'd asked me, would you, how's your health? Like, I would have said, health is like, I'm top, like 0.1%. I'm the fittest person in Toronto,
Statistically, you are top 1%. If we're equating health with ability to run a marathon in a particular time.
Yeah. But so like what happened then after the podcast? Probably like I'd say maybe we did that in March. So 3 months later, I had a heart attack, and I had a heart attack in my sleep around June 4th, 2023. I had no symptoms. Well, I had some symptoms. I was still running. I was running really well. So I just ran New York in 2022. It was the fittest I'd ever been. I was doing 245, 250, 800 meters, per pace.
Yeah.
So I would have been running 800 meters in around 220, 225, which is quick. Yeah. So sometimes when you do 800 meters back to a marathon, it can actually be your estimated marathon time. Yeah. So I would have been doing sub 230 in New York for sure. I felt phenomenal. Yeah. It was a fucking roasting day. Absolutely roasting.
That was the famous hot day.
So hot.
That's such a pity.
Yeah.
That's such a pity.
Yeah.
But, well, look, you got to do, I know like getting to do a race.
That stuff doesn't bother me anymore. Obviously not.
Were you upset at the time?
I was upset because I knew how fit I was. I still placed phenomenally well. I was up there, because I actually had a decent race considering.
You like being the first Irishman home.
I think I was. Yeah. I think I was then as well. But it was carnage because it was so hot and people were just dropping off. Like halfway at the halfway mark, I must have overtaken a good 1,000 people or something because everyone was just fucked. But then I didn't know. Around that time, maybe closer to Christmas, I went on my birthday. My birthday is December 29th. It's also my mother's anniversary. So it's a weird day. So I always go out and I run on my own, and I'm always in New York. So I do this lovely trail run, and sometimes I run my age in kilometers, not miles.
It's getting more difficult.
Yes, it is, for many reasons. And I didn't do my age, but I did enough. But afterwards, I rang my brother, and I remember I had some strange sensation. Like I couldn't quite place what it was, but there was something wrong. And I know now that fit people don't get symptoms. They don't get heart symptoms. They don't get traditional ones. It's very hard for your heart to tell your brain there's something wrong. If you're unfit, you're going up the stairs and you can't breathe. If you're unfit, you'll get a pain in your arm. If you're unfit, your legs might feel they might get swollen, because you can't get blood flow. But if you're fit, you don't get any of that. If you're fit, you get a heart attack. So if you hear about those marathoners or runners who die, running marathons, and everyone starts shitting on marathons saying they're dangerous, that's when they find out they have a heart issue, because it's when they really push it, and it's usually at the end when they stop, and it's usually marathons. But statistically, it's a joke to think that that's comparison to every 30 to 40 seconds someone dies of obesity from a heart attack in North America. So 1 in a million people die running a race who are fit. Yeah. So when people start shitting on it, I'm like, that's not, running is not dangerous. Yeah. But it is a strange double-edged sword for me to think that had I been more unfit, I might have seen it coming. That said, so when I had that issue, I didn't think anything of it, but I was also starting to have panic attacks, which was new. Okay. And I was having weird panic attacks generally on the weekends when I was alone. And I didn't know that it was, I felt like something was happening with me. I didn't know it was my heart. Panic attacks are very similar to heart attacks. The symptoms are the same. But I was having them, and it was my heart was sometimes high, and that's standard panic attack stuff. And then it started to affect me a little bit, started to affect my job. And then I did push to get tests. My friend, Neil, is friends with my current cardiologist, and he said, talk to Kim Connolly in St. Mike's. So I went in, they looked at me, they're like, you're grand. Yeah. There's nothing there. And so I then was meant to have some more tests at the end of May, and they pushed them.
Oh.
I know.
It's amazing the intuition you had, because, to be honest, panic attacks, I probably wouldn't have ever pushed for tests. I know you had a friend who was looking out for you, but I would have just considered, I'm stressed because I'm not, I'm not being mindful or whatever reason.
Well, see, my mum had heart issues. Okay. My dad had some minor heart issues. So I wanted to rule it out. Yeah. And everyone, like in 2022, I ran Transelkirks, and I think I spoke to you before that, but like
BC,
I was doing some serious,
Yeah.
So I would have had this issue, some of it, doing all this stuff. But then to fast forward to the event, so I was meant to get the heart checked out. Like everything they did 1 or 2 tests earlier on in that year. It was an ECG, nothing showed up. Again, nothing would have shown up. Like even if I had a very blocked artery, nothing would have shown up. The only thing that would have shown up if they were to do a test would have been what's it called, an angioplast, which is when they do stents. But they're not going to do that unless they know. Reason. Yeah. So it's June 4th. I'm after having an awful night's sleep, and I'm sick. I'm feeling sick, and COVID was around then. So I called Ben, my colleague, and I'm like, listen, I feel fucking awful. And I did notice my heart rate was so low. Like low.
Interesting.
Very low. It was like boom. Boom. Like
But not in the way you get that buzz when it's low during...
No, I'm talking 25 to 30 beats.
Okay. It's like you're asleep.
Yes. Yeah. And I was just exhausted. And then so Ben said, just go to the hospital. I said, no, you know what, I'll go sleep and I'll just sleep it off. I wake up 24 hours later after a full night's sleep. So I rang Ben at like 7:30, say I'm not coming in. I wake up 7:30 the next day. Oh my God. And I'm sweating profusely. And I remember I vomited in the sink, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I've fucking some dose here. But, I didn't think anything other than I'm sick. So it did wipe me out though, whatever was going on, but I still thought COVID. Yeah. And so when I started and when I knew something was up, it was about 10 days later, maybe less, 7 days later, and I'm feeling better. But I'm going for a run, and my heart rate spikes, goes up to 160 straight away, and I was like, okay. And then I got a pain in my esophagus, which was a really strange sensation. So I knew something was up. And then after that effort, I had a pain in my left arm, and my anxiety, or the anxiety that was in me at that time, was like something I've never experienced. It was like on steroids. Not like regular anxiety, I have the fear from a few pints. This is like, you are going to die immediately. Like, you need to do something. And I didn't know where it was coming from. It was awful. So I just had to like sit through it. But that was whenever I had that arm pain, that came with it. So that was a signal. And then my tests, which had been moved anyway, were coming up. But I started to get better. Like, I kept on trying to run, and eventually I was able to run. And it's mentally.
Yeah, I know that like there are people listening going, why were you still running? But
I genuinely thought, I didn't know. I had no idea. And like I'll get to this now, which is the importance of being healthy before you have an issue. So I'm in with the doctor, and they did an echo, and this is not Kim. Kim is the main guy. Kim is the head of cardiology, Kim Connolly, and then his assistant was in with me, and his assistant was a young guy, and he could tell I had fucking no clue that I had a heart attack. Yeah. And his bedside manner was a little, he didn't know how to like tell me, I think. So he was showing me, he brings out the echo, and he goes, all these words, and he's like showing me wall, skin, thickness, blah, 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 dilated this, dilated that. He goes, you've got the heart of someone who just experienced trauma. And I was like, right, so for COVID, like. And he just went, no, it's like a heart attack. That's how he told me. And I was like, I had a heart attack. And he goes, it looks like that, yeah. And I just sat back in my chair going, when? and he said, well, you mentioned that time when you were asleep. And I said, bro, like, I wasn't having any, like, it wasn't pounding chest, there was no pain. And he goes, everyone's heart attack is different.
Yeah, we think we have the idea of one from TV or something.
Yeah. And then he does this weird thing where he goes, I'm going to leave you alone now to process that. And I was like, fucking don't go. And then he walks out, and I was like, Jesus Christ, sitting in the chair going like, this is fucking heavy. And I'm on my own. And then Kim comes in, because I think he's like, you need to, like, this guy has got a problem, like. And he comes in, he's a lovely Australian guy, and he shakes my hand, and he's got this kind of concerned look on his face. He goes, we're worried about you, mate. And I was like, what's going on? And he goes, well, we're going to do lots of tests just to see what's happening, but I'm going to put you on a few tablets, to make sure you're safe. And I said, okay. And what are they? And he said, well, we'll put you on a statin, make sure, keep the cholesterol down and make sure nothing else, you don't have any other events. They'll put you on aspirin to thin the blood. They'll put you on a beta blocker, which will protect your heart. And I was like, for a few months, and then, I'll be grand. He goes, you'll be on these for life. And then it hit me. And I was like, okay, this is not like...
For the listener, how old are you when this happened?
I was 41.
And physically in the shape of your life before it?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I was probably, like I said, about to run a 2:30 marathon, probably 16-minute 5K sort of thing, like very fit. And then I was just shocked when he said that. And so he says, looks like you had like a heart attack. We need to make sure we, do all this stuff. Or he still didn't rule out. Like I was still holding on to this, like could be COVID, and I'll be grand.
Please be COVID.
Oh, like it's the only time you want it to be COVID. So anyway, I left, and on the way out, I got a phone call. I said, come in tomorrow for an angioplast, which is like Irish. And so clearly they looked at it together, and it was like, he could have a serious issue. I could have been a time bomb waiting to go off again. So next day I go in, funnily enough, it was an Irish heart guy, and I was about to get the angioplast to see what it was. So what that is they put something in your vein or in your groin. It goes right up the vein, up into the heart. They put some dye into the heart, and then they take an image. They can see if the arteries are blocked with the dye. And I can hear them on the call. So they're doing this. They went in through my vein, through my word vein here, a little scar there. And nice Irish fella. He's like, you'll feel a little jiggle here, and it's a weird sensation.
Just gonna say, yeah.
Very weird sensation. Yeah. But then I could hear them kind of debating something, and I'm just like, okay, because I knew if they caught something, they would stent me there and then. That's when they do stents. So if they found a blockage, they would have done a stent there and then. So they didn't do anything. And then I thought they didn't do anything, didn't find anything. So then I go back to the bed thing. I was recovering, and then I asked the Irish fella. I said, "What's the story? Is it COVID? Yeah?" And he goes, "Dr. Connolly's going to come and talk to you." And I was like, "Oh, Grant, yeah." But like in my mind, I'm like, and then I see Dr. Connolly, and he comes over and he puts his hand on my leg, and he goes, "It's not good news, mate." And I just fucking burst into tears because I knew the gravity of something was about to be told me. I was about to find out. And he said, "You've got a fully blocked LAD, and we're gonna look at what we can do, but your options are maybe stents or perhaps surgery." And I was like, "Heart surgery?" And he was like, "Yeah." And it was very heavy, like
yeah.
But they had to do an MRI to establish that first. So they did say that I was still getting blood flow into the heart because of these collaterals they could see around the blockage. And he said the reason I had those was because I was a runner.
Yeah.
And they kept me alive. So I had this blockage, I had a widowmaker in my sleep. The chances of being alive while you're having one of these events are 0.1. Like you don't live. And so the point I said earlier about, your fitness up to that, like the fitter you are, if you have an issue, then, your recovery is a lot better, your chances of being alive. So even though I kind of said it would have been better if I was unfit, I would have had symptoms, I probably would have died like at some point if I was unfit. Thankfully I had the fitness and I had these collaterals, and they were blown away as well, because I ran 10k before I went in that day. And they said your man was like, when he looked at the echo, he's like, I've never seen someone look so good. And it looked like I had a big heart attack, and they were kind of like sugarcoating it. So then I was on this, I was waiting then. I got the MRI, and then they figured out they were going to do heart surgery because I had some scarring on the heart. The tip of my heart was damaged, and it was awful because then I started to have like severe panic issues.
I was going to say, if someone told me all this, all I could think about is, am I going to have a heart attack now?
Well, I misunderstood what they said as well, because they said what they said is you have these little vessels, so it's like your LAD is 99% blocked. There's still blood flow getting in, and I heard your LAD is 99% blocked, but it was actually already fully blocked and done, which is better, to be honest, because if it was 99% blocked, then there was a heart attack about to happen. Wow. If it's already blocked and you're still functioning, you're okay, like kind of. because I went in, what actually, I had an issue one day, I thought, and my face went numb, and I was having an arrhythmia, and this can happen when the heart's remodeling or like just recovering, you have all these weird issues. And I went to Mississauga Hospital, and then I told him, I said, my heart's, like, it's 99% blocked, it's the LAD. And they rushed me straight in. They were like, he's fucked. And then your man came in and said, it's not 99% blocked, it's fully blocked. So you're grand. I was like, all right. In the sense that if it was 99 and you're about to have another episode, like, so the damage, the heart attack had already happened. That had happened from the LAD. So it's not going to happen again.
Sorry to interrupt. It's called a widowmaker heart attack because it generally affects men at that particular age.
Yeah. That's a good question, because when I started to research, I was like, why is there no women at my age having these? And the reason that is because estrogen prevents the arteries from blocking. So women, there'll be very few women who have heart issues under 50. But then after 50, they're more likely because they have menopause and all that stuff. Menopause, then the estrogen drops, and then they can have issues. And it's pretty much on par then with men.
Okay.
But yeah, I was wondering why that was myself. I was like, why are there no chicks? Like, it's always men, young men. But then I was waiting. I had to wait 3 months. It was awful, worst 3 months of my life, like I would say, until I had more worse ones after. But like at that time, it was the worst 3 months. Because like so here's the thing I'll say about the Canada healthcare is amazing, unless you need something serious,
rapid.
And you know what I mean? Because if I was in New York, now I'm not going to get into this debate, but like if I was in New York, I would have got the angioblast. They would have seen what it was, and the next day I would have had heart surgery. I'd say, let's just say, if I was lucky enough to have insurance and all the good stuff that I got here, but I had to wait, and the waiting was horrendous.
What did you do? Did you exercise out of curiosity?
I couldn't. No, I couldn't walk. I couldn't run. I could walk. I just walked. I walked. But I was anxious, and I was having minor issues, and I was having panic attacks, and it was really bad.
Did you talk to people about
it? I don't know. I mean, my family knew, and you know, I was dating someone at the time, and she was helping me, and she was great. I was just, I don't know. I was in a state of shock for a long time, but like I had hope, because like my surgeon called me because I wanted to understand why I wasn't getting the stents. I wanted to understand why they wanted to bust me open and do it the hard way. Like, in my opinion, that's the way it was in my mind. And Bobby, my heart surgeon, who I got recommended, actually, I'm lucky I have friends who recommended all these great people. So I had the best cardiologist, I had the best surgeon, like literally in Canada, Bobby Yangawa. And Bobby called me, he goes, well, the thing is, like, if we stent you, like, you may have issues, like there may be issues, so it's just cleaner. And I said, could you not go in, like, and do a less invasive one when the heart is actually still pumping? Because they do that, they go in under the ribs here, and that's how they'll do that going forward, probably with robotics. But Bobby was like, if you ask an artist to paint a picture, you're not going to have them on a moving canvas. You're not going to have them paint on a moving canvas. And he goes, if I can go in, we'll do the job, it'll be super clean. And he said, in theory, Ian, I need you to understand this. This issue was around for a while. And you're running marathons and you're running mountains. Like, we could fix this, and you might be, you know, a super, like, athlete after. Like, you might be stronger. And I said the same to my cardiologist, and he was like, doesn't work like that. Bobby's a surgeon, he's not a cardiologist. And so, in my mind, though, I was holding on to
the surgeon believing in that he was going to turn you into
this. Well,
Spider-Man.
Mathematically, I thought, though, okay, so if I was already at a 25% deficit, they're going to now put me at a 25 deficit. I'll get 25% back. I'll be on par. But again, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. So yeah, then like fucking heart surgery and it's been, yeah, that probably went on really long there. That little thing.
That's what it has to.
It is, and I always find I can't like there's so much more in that as well. So much more stuff happened, like, but the heart surgery was actually, it was okay. I know it went. I just wanted to get it. I wanted to get it done. I just wanted it over, like, and I remember waking up and then My cardiologist told me, he said, this is going to be hard for you, harder than everyone else.
Because you're so used to being active.
Because I'm so young and so like fit, even the pain, because my sternum's strong. Like when people have heart surgeries, they're generally weak and older and they're like mentally weaker. But when you're strong in every sense, you resist it more. And for me, I was losing. I wasn't gaining. I was losing identity. I was losing, the person I was. Like, okay, it was saving my life. I'm aware of that. But like, I didn't know I had a problem. So I didn't have time to even like, I just boom and I lost everything. And I was a different person. Like after that heart surgery, I was a different person. And I still am. Like they take you offline. Like your heart and your brain are disconnected because they put you on a pump. Like I said, Bobby works on a still canvas. And that in itself, like, it's your inner light. So they bust you open. You've got a 12-inch opening in your chest. They tinker with your inner being, your inner light. And of course you're going to be different after. But I didn't know that. And I now know so much about it. And I often help lots of people who are going in thinking, everything will be the same. It's just not. And it makes sense to me now why it's not. But in terms of physical recovery after it, I mean, I had breakfast the next day, sitting down, and they were like, he's sitting down in the, what's it called, intensive care having breakfast, because my dad rang. They were all laughing because everyone else was fucked. The rest of it, I'm sitting down having breakfast. Everyone else is still unconscious, and they're like, we can't believe it. And the dad couldn't believe it either. He was here.
What month of 2023 was this?
October, yeah.
So just
June to October.
So like, we probably should see each other more often, but I would have seen you. Well, I would have been in contact with you, and then in the build-up, and then saw you at Boston in April 2024.
Yes,
the marathon, which we both ran.
Yeah.
That's 6 months later.
6 months later, yeah.
I'd want to fast forward. I'm just putting into perspective how quick the physical recovery was.
Yes, and I'll tell you where that came from, I think. Again, all the fitness before. This is what they said. They said everything, like, it's not a waste. Like, you have this, your recovery is going to be insanely quick. And it was, physically. But I was walking so much. Walking is phenomenal. Honestly, it's so underrated. Like, if you, like I know, you've had a hip issue, whatever. I said you should walk when you're in Connemara. And
a few weeks,
if you could do enough of it, you'll get extremely fit, and it actually really helps cardiovascular health in a way that probably is not measured as it should be. Like, but you have to do a lot of it. Like, I was walking. This is something I noticed about this. So they encourage walking straight away. I had a walking plan, and it was a joke. I was walking so much more straight away. I completed the one sheet in the first day, and I was like, right, okay. And I asked my cardiologist, and I said, can I, step it up? And he goes, do what you want, you're grand. Like, honestly, this is for, he said, people that he normally works with can't walk a kilometer. Like, they can't run a kilometer, you know what I mean? And like, the day I went in to tell them, or to discover I had all these issues, I ran 10K at 4:45 pace. So like,
there'll be people listening to this who are training for months.
Yeah.
So on 10K at 4:45 pace.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. But I was walking when I was, let's say out of the difficult part, which it is very difficult. It's not easy, and you're very like, my dad was helping me and my girlfriend at the time, and you become very agitated. It's something I never experienced. Like, I was very agitated all the time. Like I said, it's very traumatic. And my dad was annoying me, even though he was helping me so much. He was irritating me, and I've never been irritated by him ever. And but I said, okay, walking is going to be my thing. So I was walking 100K a week, which is 20 hours of walking a week.
I was going to say, like, people, you've obviously ran 100K a week, which is obviously, yes, it's probably more difficult, but it's much less time commitment.
Oh, it's 20 hours a week walking is 3 or 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And what I noticed about it, though, I was walking to try and get some feeling, endorphin, give me something, and I was not getting it. And every time I would walk, I'd want to walk more to try and chase the endorphin, and I wasn't getting it. And I was walking, and nothing, no feeling. And I didn't notice at the time, though. I just remember now, looking back at, like, when I think back to like certain things, I'm like, that actually wasn't normal, or that was different. Because if I walked 100k a week now, or if you did, like you'd be knackered. You get the endorphins. You do. It's like running out, like like running a 16k, on a day. Like if you walk 3 hours, it's equivalent to running 10 miles. But then I also noticed, I had issues with food, so I didn't know how to. Didn't know how to stop eating. Especially with like ice cream and stuff.
Were you an intuitive eater before that?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I think we talked about that before, because I talked about my issues.
Yeah. I mean, I liked food.
But if you were intuitive, it was.
Yeah. I knew when I was not hungry.
Yeah.
And then again, I didn't notice this at the time, but if I had a tub of ice cream, I'd be thinking about having more immediately. And so there was all these different little things, and then in January. So we're in January 2024. I'm doing a stress test with Kim Connolly, and I nailed the stress test. And I wasn't running yet, but I was walking still a lot and eating a lot of ice cream, seemingly. And we finished the stress test, and he's like, "You're good to run again. Everything's good. You're grand." And so that was the moment I've been waiting for since June, when that doctor said I had that issue. I was just waiting to be told. I hadn't ran, but exercised hard. It had been 6 months, 7 months, whatever, and I expected to feel something, relief, joy, all the things. And then I went outside. I called my dad, and I lied to him. I said, "This is the best ever." I was like, I couldn't feel anything. And I just called him to go through the motions of great news, blah, blah, blah.
Pretending you were happy with the news. Because that's what you expected to be.
Yeah. And then I went home and buried myself in booze and got depressed. And it was like I wasn't in control of myself. Literally not at the wheel.
Yeah. Immediately, was that the first time that kind of lack of control happened?
Sure, yes, absolutely.
After
when I say not behind the wheel, I mean as soon as I got off the phone with my dad, it was like something was trying to escape from my body, and it was pulling me just to not be in that feeling, not feeling anything. This is the way I would put it: having an awful day and feeling terrible, and having an amazing day and feeling amazing is a good thing. Having no feeling is dangerous. So I went dark, and I did not want to live, and I didn't know why. I just couldn't feel anything. And I was eventually, I think it was 7 days of basically, I would say, trying to destroy myself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember. I didn't have the ability to stop. I couldn't stop what I was doing. And I wasn't, it wasn't anything too hard in a sense. I wasn't banging heroin into me or whatever, but I wasn't taking care of myself. Yeah. And I wasn't sleeping. And
were you trying to go to work and do normal things in this period?
No, I was still off work.
Yeah.
I was still off work.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, this is with a heart issue. So I shouldn't have been drinking. I shouldn't have been doing anything. But I was doing everything, nearly. Yeah. All with this sort of trying to feel something. Actually, it was not trying to not feel, it was trying to feel the opposite to what I think some people with trauma, or some people with addiction might, they might say they're trying to not feel. I was trying to feel.
Yeah, or they're trying to escape something that is very difficult for them.
Yes, yeah. But this was
it's similar in a way too. You're just trying to get a different feeling.
Yeah. And I didn't know what was happening to me. I genuinely didn't know. And everyone was starting to get worried, and then I was getting worried. And eventually, I had I just had the sort of emotional intelligence to somehow I found it, and I was like, this is fucking. I need to stop, and I need to not be depressed, and I need to try and get out of this. Normally I can get out of those situations, but this was different. So I ended up going up to a friend's place and stayed there. And then I went into, he knew someone in North Hospital. These are my friends Alistair and Richard. And they were kind enough to have me stay, because I literally, something else happened before this, which I'll tell you about in a sec.
Yeah.
So, and then I went to I saw this doctor who specialised in like trauma, PTSD, addiction, all that stuff. It's like a ward in North York. And so I started getting help. And I said, what's happened? Like, and he goes, this is trauma. And like the response to trauma is, you do strange things. People get depressed. People start drinking. People start doing drugs. Like, and I didn't understand what was going on. The other piece of the story, which I'll touch on, I don't want to talk too much about it, is that ex-girlfriend that I had, she had a breakdown a month after I had the surgery, like a full-blown breakdown. And she actually, she destroyed my house and threatened to kill me, and I had to get a restraining order on her. That was a month after heart surgery.
Yeah.
So like
it's a lot of different traumas.
It's good. And I blame myself for it. And I went into the police station, and they were like, "We are pressing charges." Like, and I said, "I don't want to press charges. This is my fault." And I didn't even know why I was saying that, because like it wasn't my fault. But like I know that now. But at the time, I genuinely thought it was all my fault. And she was like, "We understand. Like this is what women get raped all the time, and they think it's their fault. It's not your fault. I promise you. But we have to. She would have killed you had you been there." And she made it to someone else. So they have to press charges. So that was heavy.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle that. But I still carried on. And I just wanted to add that because I think that also added, that was part of the...
It's definitely not insignificant.
Yeah. So anyway, thankfully though, that was that. I got help, went into the hospital. They put me on a bit of a sort of treatment plan. Didn't end up taking medication because they were like, you're capable. This is just, you'll get a handle of this. You just have to be careful. I stayed with my friends for a few more weeks. And honestly, I got my shit together very, very quickly. I obviously wasn't, completely sober then. Because I hadn't drank I don't think I drank all year that year. That binge I went on was the first time I drank, I think. And like I said, I didn't have a say in that. Like, you know what I mean? And then I started training. I was signed up for Boston. So this is probably in Jan. And I was like, right, let's go. And I got back on the wagon, got back training, got back doing everything, got back working.
Yeah, you were even texting, you were getting me involved with a crew who were going to Boston. Like you were, I was like, this guy is ready. I remember we had a call one time and you were.
Well, it was, I couldn't believe I was even going to be doing Boston. Like I got back running, which was even scary. Like, and that whole, like, it mentally, it was, it takes a while to get your courage back again, or your confidence. And then, with all the plan I had to keep on top of the PTSD, and because they diagnosed me with trauma and PTSD, they're like, this is the problem. And I thought I had an addiction issue, and they were like, no, this, because like I went off the rails, and I thought, like, they're like, no, like you're, the problem is definitely trauma and PTSD, and then the byproduct might be, depression, might be addiction, might be whatever. But it was a binge, and then that was it. But it was a dangerous binge. It was a binge that wouldn't have stopped unless someone helped me, because I didn't want, like I said, not feeling wasn't fun.
Did you feel guilty about, people having invested so much time into you, even you investing time into your recovery on your heart, to be literally doing damage to it by the things you were putting into your body?
Oh, absolutely. The shame and the guilt is like on top of everything else. It's awful. I have a lot of empathy now, knowing what I know, being through what I've been through, for people I see in the streets. Like, no one wakes up and goes, what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a fucking trauma case. I'm going to be a drug addict. Like, no one wants to be that person. But like, if you were to look at, Gabor Mate, who he is?
Every time you mention trauma, and because reading Gabor Mate's work was one of the first times I realised that obviously drug addiction comes from somewhere.
Yes,
I don't really believe in the addictive personality kind of thing. Like, even though some people say I have that in certain regards, almost everyone is addicted to a substance.
Everyone's an addict. Just some addiction. Actually, it could be beneficial in some ways. Like, if you're addicted to running, you could be a great runner. Look at these ultra runners. Like those ultra runners with tattoos all on their arms, like they're running from something, like, you know. And a lot of them were drug addicts. And they found something else.
There's a disproportionate
ultimate replacement. But Gabor Mate would say, like, if when he worked in Vancouver in the that area, I can't remember what it's called.
East Vancouver.
East Vancouver. He said every woman who was on hard drugs, every single woman, was sexually abused when they were kids, or they had some kind of severe trauma when they were young. Every single one. It's not like 70%, it's 100%. So it's just crazy that like people would judge people like that, thinking like, oh, that's the choice they made and all. You know, it's tough. Like, I mean, thankfully that's not my world, but I did see it a lot. I mean, it's a path that, like, had I not have had enough support and enough, I think, want to live personally, because like I was great before and I could be great again, I could end up like that. It's not that far away for anyone. You know, it's really not.
I remember, sorry to cut you off, I remember doing a sleep out in Cork a couple of years ago back in Ireland with for unhoused people or homeless people, and I was young. I was 25. I just thought it was a good thing to do. I didn't really give any thought as to why a person might be unhoused. And then a lot of the people who were unhoused spoke to us that night. Some of them weren't happy that we were doing the sleep out. You know, they felt there was a bit of attention seeking. It was the GAA community in Cork doing it. But then you get to talk to some of them and you realise there's kind of no real difference between me or you, but maybe one decision. And I went, not that I made a decision, but I just happened to go another way or was pushed another way by someone else, and you went that way, and next thing, the consequences over a number of years resulted in us having different lives.
Well, I think there's what I've learned about, you know, I would say I'm in active recovery, not from addiction. I'm in active recovery from trauma and PTSD and maybe addiction, you know, but like, I think you have a say in the first decision. So if you are someone who, let's say you're an alcoholic, right? And you know if you drink one, you'll have 20. Just don't drink one. You know what I mean? Like some people say there's harm reduction methods where you'll have 2 or 3, but if you're like that way inclined, like just don't have one. And you can make that decision because you're sober. When you drink though, or like some people who are in that, like then, so there's people say it's a disease and all that stuff, and that's the AA way, which I understand. But I do think everyone, once they're in active recovery, they have the ability to prevent that from happening. You know, it's just hard. It can be hard because, in fact, like what happened then after was life got great for me. That was just this one-off binge. I thought nothing of it. It was insanity though. I couldn't believe I did it nonetheless, and people were worried. But then everything got good, got back to work. Work was great. Morgan McKinley were fantastic. I mean, I had obviously a very traumatic event with the heart, and you know, health was up and down. But they allowed me time off, and then I came back and I was good. And I met this great girl, Natasha. We always talk about my exes on this, you know. Shout out to Natasha. No, she was fantastic, and you know. And I ran Boston, and life was great. 2024 actually turned out to be a fantastic year, even though I said at the start the last 3 years were awful. 24 was amazing. 24 was a great year, and we did really well at work. But I see, the thing is, I guess this is the importance of having a partner. Actually, now I notice a partner is a great distraction from facing yourself. You know, like honestly. I think dogs are fantastic, cats are fantastic, anything so you don't have to face yourself. And I know that sounds like an unhealthy thing to say, but
we all do it. We all do it with our phones.
It
doesn't have to be a cat or a dog.
But companionship, I know now, having kind of been with Natasha for, you know, that time we had together, it was experiencing things with other people is like, that's what you're meant to do. You know, I'm not saying being single and being on your own is not great, but like, I think just I got a lot from taking care of her. You know, she took care of me. That's what you do. And I had no crazy issues. Like the trauma, everything was kind of like I was just doing. Like I ran a few months after Boston, as you know. I ran fucking the quickest marathon ever after heart surgery. And
it's just casually. Well, in the build-up, that was in New York, wasn't it?
Yeah.
in the build up to that, the 2024 Toronto Waterford Marathon, I rock on for the warm up, and in my head I'm like, I've got this time I want to run, but I'm not. I'm a bit of a lone runner. I don't, even though I run with Longboat Running Club, and then I run into you in the warm up, and I'm like, I thought you were doing New York, and you're like, no, yeah, I am, but I'm pacing someone, Brandon, who's breaking another world, trying to break another world record that day. You said I'm pacing him for the first half.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. You know what pace? And it turns out it was the exact pace I wanted to run.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you, a year after heart surgery, are pacing me just casually through the first half. Like I know it sounds obvious to most runners. I'm not going off topic now, but it was just such a selfless thing to do. But also, I was like, oh, I need to take advantage of this going forward. That was the easiest half of the race I've ever done. The second half was tough, obviously. You weren't there. We had a nice group.
But, no, I'm good at that's something that I've always been good at, controlling a group in a run and pacing.
And you like companionship. Like, you were one of the first people to tell me, because I came from a field sport background, and then I enjoyed running because of the individuality and the selfishness. I can run whenever I want, and you were one of the first people to tell me, make it a team sport.
Yes.
And I kind of didn't really believe you.
Well, 100% of you is nothing compared to 1% of a group with the same passion.
I've totally bought in this year, but it took me a couple of years after you said that to me to believe it.
I mean, running is great alone, but it's also like, if you want to get better, like that's the Kipchoge quote, that 100%.
I was going to reference Kipchoge.
And
I attribute it to you.
But it's not just running; it's everything. Like, it's everything. If you want to do better at something, okay, there's a few exceptions, but generally speaking, if you can get a group of people who share the same passion, it's the same at work, and you're all going the same direction. Like I said, 10 people go in the same direction, doing the same thing, you'll use less effort. You'll go quicker. Like, Elon Musk knows this as well. It's the same stuff, right? But
Elon Musk and Kipchoge.
Maybe Kipchoge should run Tesla and Musk should start doing marathons. Jesus Christ. But so what I did, the thing though, I did notice something in the lead up to New York. So New York wasn't even meant to be a world record. I was just doing it. Like, I was just doing it, and that's what I do. I do New York Marathon. When I met you, I had no idea what I was capable of running that half. I ran it at 1:22. That is more than likely the quickest person to ever run a half marathon post heart surgery. What people don't understand is, when I'm running with a damaged heart that's operating at a 25% deficit. I'm running with beta blockers, which prevent adrenaline from rushing through your body.
It's a big negative for running.
Huge negative.
Adrenaline. I didn't realise that.
Yeah. Like, the beta blockers are the worst. Yeah. Like, literally, you need adrenaline to run faster, and I can't. Like, I have to get efficient in other areas in order to be as quick as I was. The way it feels, it's just like gassing out, but I'll hit a point and the beta blockers will kick in and I'll gas out. I'll feel lactic gas in my legs, so I have to be on that threshold and I have to learn that. And it was all learning, but I got addicted to running heavily after or on that build up. So this is 2024, summer 2024, and I was doing crazy stuff. Even when my dad was over, I was training like 4 or 5 hours a day. It was the same stuff as the walking. So that enough, not having the signal in my brain was still there, but it was like, remember I said you have addictions that are positive? So that was actually okay. I was getting shredded, I was going quicker, but it did start to have negative effects, and all addictions do. So I'm talking about a running addiction now. And I did notice that I was getting tired, I was getting kind of sick sometimes. My relationship with my girlfriend wasn't as good because of the running. Like, there was stuff that happens.
4 or 5 hours a day plus working day plus sleep.
Like, if you're knackered in the evening and you can't hang out or whatever, like, it's like, so in hindsight, looking back now, that was another actual warning signal that, maybe this is something to look at. And I was doing therapy and stuff still, and but everything, honestly, everything on paper, and everything was good. But so that running that marathon with Brandon and you and everything, that was magical, honestly, a magical moment, because I just had no idea I was able to do that, and it was scary because that was the first time I really tested my body, I think. But to run a 1:22, that wasn't far off, my PB, which is 1:15 or 16 or whatever.
You looked comfortable.
I was. I actually was. That's because I was comfortable because I was out of my own head. I had a job to do, and that was to pace Brandon, who was a cancer survivor. So Brandon and I ran together, trained together. He had what's it called, lymphoma. Cancer, and he had a very tough time. And then a year later, I had the heart surgery, and we were training buddies. It was crazy. And then to help him, try and get that record, he didn't get it, and he'll hear this podcast. But I did my fucking job.
Brandon, I don't know Brandon. I feel bad though saying this. Brandon tried to do too much that day. He should have let. I don't even know him. I think he wanted to take the lead in our little group.
You see, that's
I
saw it happen. I saw it fucking happen. As soon as I left you lads, I went off to finish. I was like,
He wanted to be the pacer.
You guys went so quick, and but I am. Funnily enough, the two of us are doing it this year. And
Waterfront.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I'll see. I have an MRI. To see what I can do, so I may do the record, but
I might break a world record.
well, God knows, I haven't done a marathon since New York.
Yeah.
So it's worth talking about New York because in New York, I was hoping to run. I don't know. I didn't know. I honestly had no idea. All I know is I trained. I'd done some good training, but I had to train in this sort of unique way where I couldn't run fast. I couldn't, might get this lactic acid, the beta blockers would kick in. The tip of my heart's damaged, right? So what that means is the heart, when it pumps, it kind of rings sideways. Like if you ring a towel, think of that motion. That's how the heart pumps. But when if the tip of the towel is like dead, dry, you know what I mean? No blood goes out. Yeah. That's the bit that made me elite. Not elite, but like borderline elite, quick. And to Kim, my cardiologist, saying, that's gone. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
I missed that bit. Yeah. And he goes, that's literally the bit. And so he was right, because I do feel it when I hit a point, I'm like, I don't have the sixth gear that I used to have. But
for marathon running,
yes,
sometimes not necessary.
Not necessary. And I got efficient enough. I got good at running slow. So there's a guy I saw recently, and he ran a 2:27 marathon, and it was with myocardiopathy or something. It's like a heart disease. And he ran it in London, and he also ran it in Captain Underpants outfit, and he broke the world record for that Captain Underpants. But he also had to train very uniquely. I can't remember his name. But he had to run very slowly. And what happens is if you run slowly and you get really good at it, think of like a pyramid or a triangle. Your aerobic base goes wider. Therefore, the triangle to go quicker generally should be higher. But if you can get around here, it's still fast. So I was able to run New York. I did it in 3 hours. And I ran with my friend Mark at the start. And I was feeling pretty good. And then I ran the second half quicker.
Wow.
And I was... The first half I ran scared because I was worried something was going to happen. And I was having I'm feeling things. And I'm like... But that's my life now after heart surgery. I feel I have shooting pains. This morning I thought I was going to have an issue. I thought I was having a heart attack.
I was going to say these things happen runners in the lead up to races anyway.
Yeah.
Without having heart surgery, like where we convince ourselves we're sick, we have a concussion, stress fracture, whatever.
Yes.
So it's natural for you to have them.
Actually. And part of the PTSD is that if I have I might there's literally metal in my chest or whatever it is. I don't know, titanium, and I might get a sharp pain, and I have to go through this process of okay, I don't have shortness of breath. Okay, grand. My heart's not beating hard. Okay, grand. And I just, eventually I get a handle of it. But in the first half of that race, I was worried. And then, once I dropped Mark. And then, but he did it. It was so good running with him because it helped me not think about, again, there's a theme here.
Yeah. Not
being in my own head. And then the second half, I just remembered who it was. And I was like, right, let's go. And I honestly, I can say this somewhat confidently, somewhat arrogantly. I say that is probably one of the hardest things you could ever do out of any athletic feat that's ever been done. And I mean, that sounds extravagant to say, but I'm at a 50% deficit, no joke. It was, and I knew it was incredible. Maybe to me it was incredible. And I had the trauma, and I had PTSD, and I had so much fear of a heart attack happening. So I just think it was incredible that I did that at the time, and now I think it was incredibly stupid.
Oh no!
Yeah, because I was. It was too soon. It's fucking 12 months and I'm running a 3-hour marathon.
Even when you said, like, I probably hadn't processed the time when you said the initial surgery was in October.
Yeah.
I was like, he ran Boston 6 months later.
To run a 3-hour marathon 12 months after heart surgery is so dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's so incredible.
Would it have been, because you're fit, 3 hours is, for some people 3 hours is their lifetime goal. It's you're obviously much quicker than that when you're at your peak. Do you think if you were naturally unfitter and running slower but for longer, would have been an okay?
Yeah,
it's like
I
the
think
distance
so.
as such. It's more the fact that you're running
the
at
pace,
the
pace and the effort, and it's like, so what transpired after that was, but again, I was like desperate to try and be who I was. Like again, I lost so much in my head. I lost my identity. I was like I was the guy winning all the local races, the trail races, all that stuff. And I was the head of the, Toronto Harriers memberships, and I was the guy, And then it's all gone. And like I struggled with my identity.
Now you're the heart guy.
Now I'm the heart guy, yeah. And I thought that, if I did this, I'd be back. And it kind of was. Like, it was an incredible feat. Like, I know that. But it was also the wrong thing to do. Because 2 weeks later I had an echo and my heart function had dropped, and my cardiologist was like, it's not terrible, but it's 41%, and it should be. We wanted it. Like, if it was 41, it was probably 45, and I ran that marathon. Again, that's another crazy thing. It just shows how good my training was. Maybe it shows how fit I was before. I don't know, or how mental I am. I don't know. Honestly, it's this is the thing. It's like doing things that might kill you. Sometimes are cool and really amazing and all that stuff, or they're really stupid. Like, just, it depends where you're sitting. But Kim was like, look, we have to treat this at face value. Your heart function is dropping. Now, you just ran a marathon, the heart's a muscle, right? So everyone's heart, if everyone got an echo after it, it would be down.
Yeah.
But we can't risk it actually being a not marathon issue. We have to take it at face value. And I said, so what are you saying? He said, don't run marathons. He said, for now. And don't run them that way.
Don't run fast.
So I was like, that was not good for me. That was a very tough moment.
That's your identity. That's more of your identity being stripped.
I thought he was going to tell me the complete opposite. I couldn't believe he said it had gone down. And I was looking at him going, what shit? I just ran a fucking 3-hour marathon. Like, that's the quickest. How is that? He goes, because the exertion after, like, it's the heart's weakened now. I was like, right. But he said he doesn't know. We don't know for sure if it's from that. Like, and if it's just from the marathon, and in a few months we do it again and it's back up, then grand. We know it was from fatigue versus heart failure. But I was like, in my mind, I'm just kind of thinking, Jesus, there's a lot of stake in the game here. Like, he's talking about heart failure. I'm talking about running marathons. Like, like, heart failure is game over, or it's a very challenging life if it goes down. And like, I don't want to run marathons if it's causing that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was 2024.
Did things improve in 2025?
No. What happened in 2025 was you could sense, as I talk about 24, there's underlying issues all throughout that I didn't know. So in 2025, went into the new year, and we just had a fantastic year at work, and everything was going good, honestly, on paper. But that news with the heart rocked me. It definitely rocked me. And there was, I don't know, it, again, yeah, I think you were right, it kind of took away all the work. I felt like everything was just gone again. And so I could feel something in me not right mentally. I don't know how to describe it. Like, there was just a disconnection. I don't know. And so me and basically one night, me and the missus were hanging out, and I think we had a bit of a tiff, and I decided we should have a drink to solve the problems. And then that was a bad idea, because that instantly dropped the guard I had up. So there's a saying they sometimes say that, like, you could be doing all this work and you're doing all the work, but in the background, trauma, PTSD, addiction is doing push-ups in the dark.
Yeah.
And if you drop your guard, it can come back. So that particular night, I did the same thing I did in January. It was all January's a bad. January's a bad.
I was going to say there's a pattern there.
January, yeah. I did the same similar thing, but this was more. It was a similar thing, and then I knew that whatever had happened was actually still there, and so again, I knew this time though. Well, to be honest, this time was more dangerous because I went inward more, and I guess I isolated. I did everything you shouldn't do, and that's what happens when you're depressed. You do the opposite, because it's so hard to do the things like going for a walk or like just cleaning your place. Like, those things are out of the question.
Yeah.
I can hardly get out of bed.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Severe depression is like it's very bad, and me and her broke up because she couldn't handle, and rightly so. I mean, I didn't know I had this problem. I didn't know this was going to happen. I legit had no clue. I thought I was done. It was all gone, which is kind of narrow-minded of me to think, because it's a life sentence, or not life sentence. It's something that you need to keep an eye on. You can't just run. You can't run away from it. You can't outrun it. You can't break records and think it's going to go away. And so that caught me again, and then I ended up. What did I do? The whole year, to be honest, was up and downs. It was very dangerous though, because the depression it got to the point now when I was, I don't know, a few weeks on my own, and my ex was sort of still trying to help me a bit, and I just had this is going to sound grim, but there's a moment when I'm on my own, and it was just I can't do this. I can't have this, because it's I'm disappointing everyone, and I'm disappointing myself, and I just want it to stop, and I don't even know what it is. I just want it all to stop.
Yeah.
And then there was a moment when I was about to do something, and I'm talking, this is a second away, and I just got pulled a different direction. I don't know what it was, but it was had I have gone the direction I was going to go, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
But something pulled me a different way, and I made a choice somehow. And I remember I hadn't slept for days. It was almost like a spiritual thing. You hear that in sometimes you have these moments, but that was I got pulled away. But I know, and I've never really experienced how close I was to doing something really bad like that, because I have had taken one step, I was gone. I would have killed myself, and thankfully I didn't. And what I had a therapy session booked, and I remember I called my ex. That's what I did. I think maybe that's what dragged me. Something the thought of her, I don't know. And I called her, and she said, I said, I have a therapy session now. So I didn't tell her what I was all about to do, but I told her I was in a bad way, and I was crying. And she said, I said, I have a therapy session now. She said, just go on and ask her what to do. So I got on, and Raquel is her name. She's amazing. And she goes, it's incredible that, she said, first of all, you don't look good.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not good. And she said, it's amazing that you got on this call. Something in you wants to carry on. And I was just kind of going, I felt the weight of that. I was like, okay, that's good, because that's she goes, most people don't do this. Most people make the other choice. So you've done the hard thing. And and I said, what do I do? She goes, can you go somewhere? Can you get sleep? Can you eat? That's all you need to do. Just do simple things. So I called the ex again. And she was good enough. She's like, yes, just come here. You can stay with me. And thankfully that's what I did. And that was a very serious moment. But it was also the moment that I started to get real help.
Yeah.
But it was like you're talking. There's a split second there where I'm either living or I'm dying.
Yeah.
And something pulled me that way. And then Natasha, my ex, was good enough to help me. She didn't have to, but she did because she knew I think she knew as well as I did. Like I'm the last person that wanted to be as dark in the place as I was. Like literally, like because I'm vibrant. I like life.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was heavy, and then ultimately I just decided then like the trauma was too much, and with some help I decided I should go to treatment, and
Treat what exactly?
well, it was when I called them, I told them what was going on. They said, okay, so you do like an intake call. It's a place called Homewood, and they said you should come in for trauma and PTSD because that's what everything is. And I said, how long is that? How much is that going to cost me? And they're like, because I need to get back to work, you know.
Yeah.
And Morgan McKinley were great through this as well because they knew I was having a tough time. Like they just knew they were very much, listen, just do what you need to do. Because like I wanted to get better. There was no doubt about that. But it was for people close to me to see how bad I got, how depressed I was, how awful I looked. Like it was hard, you know. And that's hard for everyone. But at this point, I was like, I white flags up. You know, when I knew at that moment when I was going to, do something bad, I said, I don't want to do that. I don't. When I made the decision to not do it, I was like, I need to get help because that can't happen again. That's going to devastate a lot of people, and it'll devastate me. You know, even if I'm not existing, it's not the way to go. Anyway, point is, we talked to them. They said, come in for that. They said it's 12 weeks. I was like, fuck that, no.
Yeah.
I said, what else have you got?
yeah. 1 week.
And they're like, well, you can come in for the other one. It's I think it's like trauma and addiction, and it's less about the PTSD. I don't know. I can't remember. But it's 6 weeks versus 12. So I went into that, and that was when was that? Last year. I think that was March or April. And so you go in, and honestly, it was the best experience I've ever had in my life. Highly recommended it. If you can voluntarily do it.
Yeah.
But if someone was to say to you, look, do you want to take 6 weeks off, switch off from work, spend time with people who are going through something similar, do sports every day, do therapy every day. Like, everyone should do it.
Yeah.
It's not just someone who has an issue. It's like everyone has issues. And it was a beautiful place. They had these lovely grounds. I ended up running. I started a run club in there. Every day I brought people out, and I was actually in very good shape going in. I went in about 4 weeks after I had that issue, or 5 weeks. So I was going in healthy, and that's not the case for a lot of people because you have all sorts of people in there. You have people who are going in for drug addiction. You have people going in there who have PTSD. You have people going in there who are mentally ill, and yeah, it was honestly I learned so much about myself. I made some friends in there that are lifelong friends. I also now know how, and these are, when you think of a place like this is, I say treatment centre, it's rehab, it's whatever you want to call it. When people think of a place like that, they think of like the lads you see on the street.
Yeah.
This is me and you going in. This is like normal people, and everyone there was normal. There's a lot of minors, as in like from up north. Yeah. So you could see the different pockets, different demographics, different jobs that end up in addiction. But it's exactly.
It doesn't discriminate against anyone.
Yeah, and most of them were all addicts and stuff, and but there was like various different folks that were in there for trauma and PTSD, and that's that. When I went in, they were like, I started telling them what was going on, and I said, I don't know what's happened to me. And the great therapist, you get assigned a therapist, Well, honestly, it's like a school camp for adults. Like, it was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, when would you get time to hang out in a?
That's the problem. People go on holidays for these types of things.
Oh, it was 6 weeks. It was unbelievable. I miss it.
Should have done the 12 weeks.
I know. I should have. That's not even a joke. Well, I started talking to the therapist, and they instantly said, you know, you should be in for the trauma thing. It's longer, but like that's probably would have been the better choice. That said, you know, we'll see how you get on. You can extend, but it's costing me money. Like, this was not covered by my insurance, but I obviously didn't care about that. Like, I was, you know, doesn't matter. Yeah. But my therapist then started poking around at like things that I had never thought about before, because I was like, why would I do this to myself? I just want to understand why. Twice, why would I do this to myself? And he said, well, tell me about your life, you know. I said, how was your childhood? I said, it was great, you know, it was mum and dad and then my brother, and, you know, just got on with it. He says, what do you mean you got on with it? And then he said this thing, he said, so were your needs met when you were a kid? And I just looked at him and burst into tears. And I said, why am I crying? He goes, something's, like, there was something. As soon as he said when you were a kid, I could feel little Ian. And he said, what was your mother like? And I said, she was sick all my life. And he said, and how was that growing up? And I said, well, my dad was taking care of her, and she was very sick. She had a stroke in 1987. I called the ambulance. I was 6 years old. And after that, she was sick the whole time. So I didn't really have a mum. I had a mum that was very sick, that couldn't be the mum that she wanted to be. And he was poking around at this. And I never knew that was not normal.
Yeah, you got on with it.
I just got on with it. And then I had a lot of other small things happen. But I didn't have anyone to tell. Like, I told my best friend when I was 7 to go away because he messed up a game. Go away, never come back. And he actually never came back. And I didn't tell my mum and dad because I had no one to talk to. And like, you need to have someone to tell that stuff to. And I didn't even think this. I thought, like, just got on with it. He never came back, so what? And then, so this therapist was like, this is called proximal separation. When you have a parent who can't give you the attention you need, they're there, but they're not there. So like, I'd be playing games around my mum and she'd be sitting on a chair, kind of not vegetated. She was different after the stroke. She had severe anxiety. I didn't know this, but I noticed that she had severe anxiety. She smoked fucking cigarette after cigarette, but she was in a bad way. And so I didn't have a parent. I just did things on my own and kind of got on with it. Like, and my dad was they were doing their best. It was still great though. It just was buried though, that like, this all came out after the heart surgery. It was all like compounded trauma. Like, and the more we got into it, the more I realised that like, I have a lot of trust issues. I have a lot of like, I won't let a girl into my life because I'm scared that they'll leave me because everyone has abandoned me as a child. And I didn't know I had this issue, but I know I do, like, now, because it's been identified, unfortunately. But like, just trying to let someone in is very hard for me. And I never understood why. When I'm in a group of people, I want to be on my own. When I'm on my own, I want to be in a group of people. And that's all sort of coming back to this fear of losing it all. So they uncovered all this stuff, and I went and did grief and loss sessions in there as well. And there was so much, and they just kept on chipping away, and I kept on opening it all. And by the end of it, I was like, fuck me, I have to go outside to the world now. And they said to me then at the end, they said, you should be here longer.
Yeah.
But you're also doing great. Because like, I was...
Starting run clubs.
Well, one of the guys said at the end, funny guy, he was like, are you guys going to put a statue of Ian at the front? Because like,
number one student.
I was facilitating smart recovery meetings. I was had the run club. I had organised pickleball tournaments. And the one thing I'll say, that I do that stuff. That's what I do, you know. And everyone was grateful. But like, I was also still hiding from everything. I'm just trying to not, face myself.
Yeah.
But the discoveries in there about my childhood was something that had to be faced, but something that I could have done without. But you'd only know what you know because you've a viewpoint of one person. And I honestly thought my childhood was great. But like
we all do in Ireland, I think.
Yeah,
we all do
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was great, and I still do. And I had to tell my dad this after as well, and he thought it was his fault. And I was like,
Of course, yeah.
"It's not your fault. Like you guys are awesome. Like I had a great childhood, but little Ian probably needed more." And then when you have a serious traumatic event later in life, stuff starts to come back. Trauma is like depression is like trauma is like a snake. It's very, very hard to catch and very hard to treat. It's sneaky. Comes up on you when you don't expect it. And depression is like a bull. The way to treat a bull is you do other things to, distract it. And that's a good way to treat depression. But you have the two of them together, it's very hard.
Yeah.
And that's why people get addicted to things. And they do again, when I say addicted to things, I'm not talking about drugs. I'm talking about running, walking, relationships, work, drugs maybe. But the other stuff first.
Yeah.
So I had all that going on, and then it was, so last year was tough because it was so up and down. But I then went to Ireland, and then I went to New York for a while because I had to be in a safe place. So I was doing all this therapy that was extremely triggering. EMDR, it's what you do when you're in after army vets all do it. When you see a lot of death and you experience a lot of death in your life, you do this. And I was doing that in New York, and that was tough. But I got back on track, and that's kind of been that year was, a rehab or treatment, and then I didn't get to the bottom of it, and then afterwards I learned it was all I did 6 weeks, which was great. But I still had so much more to do, and I'm still working on that, and that'll be forever. Yeah.
You seem to be okay with that, though, that it will be forever.
This morning, just as an example, I've been doing great recently. I've had 8 weeks. It's the first time in 8 weeks I haven't had a panic attack in the space of 2 days. That's how many panic attacks I was having, literally every day, and since the heart surgery. So going 8 weeks without a panic attack is it's incredible. And I'm on medication for that, which has been great. But today, just randomly, I had a flutter in my heart, and it started to trigger something, and I could feel it. And I was like, oh geez, I have to meet Pa later and I have stuff to do. But I took an anti-anxiety tablet and it went away. So I feel in control now. But it's taken 3 years to get here.
Yeah. And it'll take the rest of your life.
And and I think it's the beauty of having gone through this. I would rather not have gone through it because I've lost a lot, but I've also gained a lot. I'm still alive, number one.
Yeah.
I've gained amazing friends in recovery from, they might be recovering from whatever they're recovering from, but we're all in recovery. And there's places that I've seen true kindness in that you just don't really see unless you're in my sphere. So in hospital, for example, you really see, these are the only places you see. No one's fucking on Instagram filming, I gave this guy $1,000, he's gonna live, he's gonna get dinner and all. You're just doing things to be kind. In treatment, everyone is kind to each other. When I went in, I was scared. Yeah, and this guy, he was he just came up, shook my hand, and he was like, "You're new here?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's day one." He goes, "Welcome. Do you want to game of pool?" I was like, "Sure."
Yeah. People don't do that in their everyday world.
No, and he's not filming it. It's true kindness, and that's done every day. And then I started doing it to other people because I'm in there 2 weeks. I'm helping others, and you just keep doing it, and that's a beautiful thing. There's an unparalleled healing when people in recovery help each other, and I don't know the science behind it, but my dad always says this. He always says, "If you only understand it if you've experienced it," and that's why it's so good to talk to someone. If I help a lot of people in well, both in recovery and recovering from cardiac events. My surgeon Bobby is also on social media, and he does a lot of posts, and he sends people my way, and he's did a little post on me a while ago, which was really nice. I gave him the cert for the marathon world record, and
that was a very nice gesture. Yeah,
a lot of people ask me how I did it, and but there's a theme, and the theme is mental health is awful for everyone, and that's the part that no one warns anyone about. You get cardiac rehab, you don't get mental health aids. You kind of and I'm trying to like help others with that. And there's a lot of people that are in my DMs that are just like they've got a tough time ahead of them, and I'll just tell them what my experience was, and I'm like, if you're just be honest and be transparent and keep trying, keep moving forward.
Really hope you enjoyed that chat with Ian. He is breathtakingly honest and candid. Ian is one of those people who just makes everyone else around him feel better about themselves. Once again, all feedback is welcome. You can email me. My email address is in the description of the podcast, or you can find me on social media. It's always lovely getting messages from strangers and talking about the podcast and their stories of what brought them to Toronto. I would still encourage people to download the episodes and to share them with friends and family. Downloads are the easiest indicator for me to gauge how many people I'm reaching with these conversations, so I would really appreciate it. Thanks to Natalie Barbuzzi, who provided the logo for the podcast, and thanks to Shannon Heaton, who provided the music you are now listening to. You'll find all of her music on Spotify. There'll be another episode of Irish in Toronto in 2 weeks, and until then, slán go fóill.